I'd like to talk to you about GeorgesCream and why it works so well. And I've demoed this in the women's lady shows in both Edmonton and Calgary a couple of times. And GeorgesCream is very different in that it's a very rich cream, and you just need a tiny amount to put on in a demo. One thing when we started out, we put away greasy, and we had to have some Kleenexes on hand, which is something you really don't want to do. So I would just put on a very, very small amount like this, and have the women rub it in. Even with that small amount, they're still going to say, gee, that's pretty greasy, and it is, and that's important. You say, yes, it is. It's greasy on purpose because you're lacking that oil in your skin, and we're trying to get it back in it. Now, GeorgesCream is most unusual. It takes 3 days to make it, unlike any other cream, and that process of making it, it drives this oil into the skin, and that's what we want. So they've got to rub their hands, let it work itself in, and it's going to get a little tacky, and that's just fine. And then a few minutes later, it's just going to be right in. It takes probably 2 or 3 times longer than any other cream, but where traditional creams and lotions only last for maybe an hour, hour and a half, GeorgesCream will last up to 4 to 6 hours, which is a real bonus. Now, I've seen people come to the show in both Edmonton and Calgary that they've really got bad hands. I mean, they're cracked and bleeding. And they say, well, this cream held my hands. And the answer to that is it will really help, but it's going to take some time. And what I recommend is they go out and buy a cheap pair of cotton gloves. You can buy them for $1.99 in most stores. And what I'd like them to do then is slather the cream on. Instead of a little bit, slather the cream on, put the cotton gloves on, and then go to bed with them. And in the morning, get up, set the gloves on the night table. Then they can still use cream throughout the day if they need to, because their hands are really been damaged. Then the next evening, throw on globs of cream, put the gloves back on again. Within a week, that should clear it up. I know I've talked to you for a minute about skin conditions. When I first invented this, it was really just for dry skin, and maybe we thought it might be effective for eczema in children. And what we found out is that it's not just good for eczema in children, because adults have eczema as well. They have a whole range of skin conditions. Usually they're all magnified by dryness, and so in this province of Alberta, there's a lot of dry air, and especially we have Chinook winds in the wintertime. So it is very, very good for eczema. We found out it's very, very good for a lot of people with psoriasis. They've got to put it on more generously than a normal person. And it's even good for conditions like ichthyosis, where your skin sloughs off 5 times the rate of normal. I've had a lot of people talk to me about that. So if you're getting questions about these conditions from these people you're demoing to, you can feel very confident that you can't say it'll cure anything, but it'll certainly help it. Even the safety of it, a lot of people say, well, how safe is this? Well, it's allergy-free, it's hypoallergenic, it's perfume-free. It's so safe that doctors even have written prescriptions for cradle cap in newborns, so I mean, that's pretty safe. Diabetics, elderly people with diabetes got to really worry about their feet. So it's very good to moisturize the feet, because the trouble with diabetics, they don't feel pain or anything, and so they let their feet go normally, and that's how they get infection and leads to lots of problems. So those conditions, you could be very comfortable recommending GeorgesCream in your demo. Now I know, ladies, that you're going to be in an environment that's a store, but I'd like you to tell all these women that it absolutely works best after a bath or shower. When the skin is still moist, just fairly towel dry, slather GeorgesCream on. It'll go very slippery, and just work it in, and then it'll just go right into the skin. It goes in quicker on damp skin than it does on dry skin, and that's why you can, when you're giving your demo, and they say it's a little bit greasy, but it is, it'll be less greasy if it's after a bath or shower. The other thing that has happened, not with the jar, but with the tube, is sometimes they put it by a window, or if they have it in a car, GeorgesCream could get a little runny because it's a very thin tube, and if they find out when they open it there's a little bit of moisture comes out, it's very easily fixed by just squeezing the tube like this and keeping it in the fridge. It'll set right back to normal. A lot of people, they love GeorgesCream going on cold, so they even keep the jar and the tube in the fridge, because if you're working all day and your feet get really hot and burning, there's nothing nicer than putting GeorgesCream on cold.